So the finale of American Horror Story Called opens up with Kai, our favorite baddie here. And he's in prison where he rightfully deserves to be. But you realize when the show opens up, it's in 2018. So we're in the future. First time the show is done at this season. And Kai's doing the pinky swears with the security guard. He's got these junkies under his belt. And he's starting his own little cult in this prison. And you're like, oh no. So basically he's not done. He hasn't been beaten. And he's got a plan to get out. So I did like this opening because it added a little more spice and made it a little less predictable, I would say, the end, because I think we all figured he'd end up in jail at some point, so it was good they kind of just showed that and gave it a different kind of angle at it. And I love the line in the beginning here where Kai was basically saying, woman will destroy the outside world, and one of the inmates asked him, how did you get in here? And he's like, I was sold out by filthy effing rat. So that was a really good line, which cut perfectly to Allie's story, where it goes back 11 months earlier where we left off, and we see Allie and Beverly are still working for Kai. Beverly's at her last wits here, which I really liked. I liked that it showed she was willing to just die and let Allie do it at this point, that she screwed over Allie, she admitted it, that she was in the wrong, and she'd rather just leave the world and not be a part of this cult anymore. But I like that Allie didn't let her do that and still needed her, still protected her, and did forgive Beverly in a sense. But then it cuts to Kai. Again, Evan Peters putting on a show here. And it shows him showing his male army a little model of a woman's belly with a baby in it. So this was really screwed up stuff here. And he's showing them how to hit it the right way without missing the baby. American Horror Story always goes there, but this was a lot for me. This was like, okay, now they're really pushing it. Look, it's nowhere near that weird incest scene they had early in the season, but it's close. That was intense for me. Very disturbing to actually physically see him demonstrating that. But it made you hate him more and more. And you get a little worried too, like, is Allie actually going with Kai now? Is she on Kai's team? They kind of left that up for a bit. So I was worried for a second there, which was cool. Made it a little more on edge, like, wait, what the hell is going on? And we see Kai's getting super paranoid, even more paranoid than ever before. He's like, where's Speedwagon? Where is he? Goes upstairs, and Allie shows him that recorder and shoves it in his face by saying that it wasn't Winter who was recording you. You killed your sister for no reason. Really getting in his head. And I love that Allie snuck that in before the FBI came. She was brilliantly planning all this out and got that dig in as well, just to sweeten the serving she's giving to Kai. It was really cool when the FBI came in. They threw smoke grenades. I was afraid they were going to kill Beverly, but they did not, thank God. I just took her out. You wonder what would end up with her because you thought maybe Allie would get her out of it, but I think Allie just let it be. And it made sense that Allie didn't tell Beverly she was going to do this whole operation because you don't want to risk anyone screwing it up. And at this point, Allie knew it was her game to win here. She didn't want any loose ends, and it was smart. And again, Evan Peters' acting here, really just unbelievable. Especially when he's screaming at her from the truck. You would think it's such a simple acting scene, but the look in his eyes, I fully believed it. Like, he was full on into this character of Kai and hating Allie. So he really amped it up here, and props to him. I think this episode might have been what sealed him an award for sure. So then Bev, we see, comes and visits Allie at the restaurant, and we find out it's basically a hero and a person people look up to because of what she'd been through, her stories out there. Beverly tells her that Kai basically admitted to everything except killing Ivy, which we know was actually Allie. And it was interesting to see, was Allie going to tell Beverly that she did it? But she held it back. And it was interesting they touched on that because they didn't really go back to it. And that was a little thing I was disappointed about. I did want something else confronting that or someone else finding out about that and see how Allie really handles it. But nonetheless, I thought it was good they mentioned it and that we didn't forget about that. And it kind of confirmed, look, Allie pretty much didn't regret it. And Beverly even says, I understand if you did it, if one of my loved ones betrayed me that bad, I get it. So that was cool about Beverly. She was kind of like hinting like, basically, look, I know it's you, but I'm not going to push it. And I really like that Allie's moved on. She's got a very hot girlfriend now. Way better than Ivy, if you ask me. And I love Sarah Paulson here when she delivers a line. I'm not going to be this mourning person who's supposed to be in grief and be this nice girl the rest of my life. She's like, screw that, I'm living. I love that because I always feel it too when I've gone through stuff in my life where people expect you to just be upset and you should be upset and not trying to enjoy life. I like the angle here where she was like, no, I'm still going to be happy and be me and push through and not make excuses and play a martyr. Also, if someone can answer me in the comments below, did you notice the dig at Rachel Maddow here in this episode when they're having Oz's birthday party and she wants an interview request and Beverly's basically like comparing her to another reporter, like, oh, who's Rachel Maddow compared to her? I'm just curious, is there beef with Ryan Murphy and Rachel Maddow that he snuck this line in? Because it really felt like that whole part, the whole purpose of that scene was to diss Rachel Maddow. I don't take either side. I'm just curious if you let me know below if there was something in that history between those two that would have him get that line in a finale especially. I thought that was kind of odd. But I love, too, they kept going back to stuff Allie was getting back at Kai for and didn't forget about, like making sure he knew that Oz wasn't his son and that she wasn't going to fall for that. I really like that, and I'm glad they didn't make Oz his son because that would be too tragic. And the whole point of Allie here is to get her son to her custody, be the mom, and be a good parent, and it'd be annoying if they negated that with that reveal. So I'm happy they touched that as well. But then after Kai's freaking out on the phone and hears this news, we see the security guard calls him, her leader, and we're like, oh no, here we go. She's in on this, and he's banging her, and then you connect. Okay, that's how he's gonna get out of this prison. He goes in disguise, kills the guy who he had dress up like him, mutilates his face, which is a brilliant plan to get out, honestly. Then Allie decides she's gonna run for office, and I love how Beverly's like her assistant, guiding her along the way. And I like too that it threw in there Allie kind of mentioning that in her campaign that the Republican and Democratic Party, both cult-like, she was trying to end that. Really good throw in there by the team here on American Horror Story, because I think that's a good point. Because this season's so connected to the current political climate that it was nice to show, like, no, the whole system is cult-like right now. That's the message I was getting, and I'm glad they touched on that and threw that in really quick. That's not just one party that's a problem, it's the whole system. So Allie does the debate, Kai shows up, now you're really nervous, you're like, oh my god, is he gonna win this? He's got the gun pointed at her. It's not loaded. Turned out security guard was already in cahoots with Allie. Allie, again, one step ahead of Kai. To beat crazy, you gotta be crazy. That's the lesson here in this season, and Allie outplayed Kai's craziness or her own craziness. I like that was a twist I didn't see coming, and that she literally checked in on every loose end and knew that Kai manipulated people through their insecurities with that pinky promise ritual. And she pointed it out to the security guard and was like, look, he's picking on you about your weight, saying nasty comments. You don't gotta take that anymore. And she's learned all about Kai, studied him, and beat him at his own game. And that great line, I'm sure would explode Twitter. And Allie says there's something more dangerous than a humiliated man, which is a nasty woman. And Beverly with the awesome headshot to kill Kai. That was satisfying. I didn't want to just see him go to jail and that's that, or leave it on a cliffhanger. We know this show doesn't continue storylines, so I'm glad we got a brutal death for Kai, and it was from someone we really like in Beverly. It was really good writing here in a powerful scene with Allie and Oz in his bedroom, and she's saying, I want a better world for you, a world where you can be a better man than the men before you. And he's like, I want to, and I will be. So that was really good stuff, and it was a good message to men growing up now that you can evolve as men in this world and be a good person and try to be the best a man can be, and you don't have to be the men before you. You don't have to think that's the way a man's supposed to be. You got to open your mind. Really good message here. And then we see that twisty action figure again, and she gives it to little Oz. I thought that was funny. Always bringing him in a little bit this season. So if you have any theories on that again, let me know below. And the only thing I really didn't like in this finale was I kind of wanted it to end on the Oz scene, and then it showed Allie looking in the mirror, and then she put on the hood, the same one that Francis Conroy wore in the Valerie Solanos cult. And it was like another twist. So I was like, classic American Horror Story where it's too many. I don't think it needed that. I think that was a little much. I think it had such a good message going with Allie that that last part was like, I don't know. I don't buy that she'd be fully in on that either. So I wasn't crazy about that, especially because we know that story's not going to continue. But overall, I am going to give this finale an 8.5. I thought it was great. Really enjoyed it. Answered everything I really wanted it to answer. Focused on Evan Peters and Sarah Paulson, which is great because they killed it this season. Well done to both of them. And the scenes they have together, there's nothing else like it. Keep that coming. Maybe have a whole season with just them two in it as the main characters always near each other because it's always an acting clinic and they have great chemistry. Overall, this season I thought started off slow and I didn't really enjoy it and didn't know where it was going. It felt sloppy. But then the middle it picked up and then it got really good and the end finished awesome. So would have come back in a season for sure. So I should always stick with shows even if they seem a little dry or dull. Anything can happen in one episode and I thought it really picked up and didn't let go here. So props to this season. I really enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts below on this season, on the finale. Anything you want to say, respond to everybody. Let's get the discussion going. I'll be reviewing next year's American Horror Story. I review tons of TV shows, movies, do celebrity interviews as well. You can follow me at SteveVarley1 on Twitter and Instagram for more. And please, please subscribe. It would mean the world. And keep coming back.